Hello, it's Friday, everybody. My name is James. It's just me for today's weekly update because everybody is in building mode. So I'm here to share a quick update. We are live on YouTube and on Twitter. And if you're on YouTube, there's a live chat here. You should see a live feed on the screen, so feel free to say hi, annotate my little presentation today, or ask questions. So I like to share our mission at the start of every weekly update, but I also recognize that our mission is kind of wordy, and I mean every word of it. Our team is really rallying behind our message. But if we had to put it in simpler words, what is Gimbalabs? It's about people learning together. This is what we do. I am of the strong opinion that blockchains are a waste of time if they don't make people's lives better. And you need people to run a blockchain. Ooh, good point. Hey, Steve, let's replace YouTube, right? Let's learn together how to do that. Welcome, my friend. It's good to see you here. So this is what we're about, and we're trying to create as many different opportunities for as many different kinds of people to come and learn something together in a community. So we can show by example what we mean by that. And so at a few different events this week, there's been just such an exciting growth of community learning and ideas, and most important to me, leaders developing. It's just so exciting to watch people taking the reins, bringing their ideas, and bringing new projects to life. So I want to shout out Stephanie and Darlington from Lido Stake Pool, Lido Nation, and the new Fuffy Coin project that they're working on. What an incredible presentation and conversation at Playground. You two are really making our dreams come true by bringing inspiring ideas and sharing out what you've been working on, and also creating a space for other people to interact with your ideas and ask questions. Thanks for such a wonderful presentation and a really great conversation on Tuesday at Playground. Want to give a shout out to our growing Plutus project-based learning team. We have onboarded our first 7 developers, and we're already starting to deliver on our successful Fund 6 Catalyst proposals. Much more on that to come over the next few weeks. But as always, an invitation to anybody out here seeing this video. You can come join us and participate live in conversations about building on Plutus every Wednesday and Thursday. And I'll provide an update on that at the end of this presentation. I want to thank everyone who has shared images of fire for our upcoming Password Chaos NFT series. We're really excited to push the conversation about NFTs. I think a lot of people know that art is only the start of the story, and we want you to come on a journey with us as we begin to reinvent the internet through these tools that are coming online right now. Speaking of use cases for those tools, shout out to George Lovegrove, who also had a successful Fund 6 Catalyst proposal. He's building a team of people who want to define the best possible credentialing systems, right? And if you think about self-sovereign identity and what's rolling out right now with Atala Prism, the Atala Prism Pioneers program started. We have a few people, including my co-founder, Roberto, participating in that program. And George is building upon that work and giving us a lot of space to think about what maybe an Atala PBL program will look like coming out of that Pioneers program, and really providing an applied space for us to think about what credentialing systems might look like. And as we do things like this Plutus PBL team, we want to be able to create credentials that say, people made it through this program and here's what that means. So we're really excited to be working on that. That work overlaps with some new work we're doing with a few new community members who are really curious about DAO formation. Vincent Brandon has been leading this work for months. John Saginaw has been dropping by. I know that he's involved over at WADA as well. So we want to shout out you guys as well for starting to push the DAO work. And I think credentialing goes hand in hand with this. So anybody in the Gimbalabs Discord server, you can see those conversations starting up as well, along with opportunities to contribute. And I want to give a big shout out to Gabe, who has really helped me to think about how we build a website that helps us illustrate the ongoing work that we're doing here with development at Gimbalabs, both community development and technical development. We want to be able to share in an ongoing way all that's happening. And so this can make it complicated to build an illustrative website where we have a certain amount that we want to share now, but an even bigger attention to the future. And so we want that to be scalable. And Gabe has really delivered that. Looking forward to flipping the switch in the next week or two to have the new website up. So what are we doing? Usually we split this into two different slides, what we've done in the previous week and what we're doing next week. But as the scope of our work increases, I think it's easier just to share that all of this is a work in progress. And so just a few highlights across our growing variety of teams. The Plutus PBL team is working on a couple different things, but the one big project we're working on in November is an NFT marketplace. Now, there's a lot of NFT marketplaces out there already, and this will only continue to grow. But as we start to think about training new developers, we take cues from other sorts of, web or software development, educational materials. And so anybody who's ever learned a web framework, for example, like React or like Gatsby, you know that these frameworks often come with onboarding tutorials. And I've done enough of those over the years to know that, for example, building a to-do list is a really nice way to show people how web technology works, right? How to hook up some data source, whether it's a database or something else, to some back-end API calls and server calls to a front end that's responsive and takes user input and presents dynamic content. Now, in the year 2021, building a new to-do list app is probably not a profitable venture, right? There's so many different apps out there, and I think new ideas in that space might be hard to come by at this point. But if you're just getting into development, understanding how to build a to-do list app can give you really good insight in how software development works. We predict that NFT marketplaces are going to be similar to this, right? There may come a time, maybe it's already here, maybe it's coming soon, where it's not so much that building an NFT marketplace is going to be the most original idea in the world, but people understand what it is and what it needs to do. And this can be a really nice onboarding task for anybody looking to understand how a development stack works. And so when we think about building dApps, we think NFT marketplaces are a good place to start. There's lots of interesting components involved, and we're excited to be delivering on that. Yes, and Steve, we are absolutely. We're in the middle of a conversation with the UNSIGS community to talk about providing an NFT marketplace for UNSIGS, and we're just waiting on the community to vote on that. We're going to build these components either way, and we are really excited at the prospect of doing this in collaboration with the UNSIGS community. On another arm, the Dandelion Gardeners, Steve, you're among them, continue to test their deployments, starting to create documentation and defining incentive models. Roberto's got some really cool ideas for that. He's been working with Giovanni and Sosha to start thinking about those incentive models, and I'm sure a lot of other people are thinking about this too. So we're really excited to see that coming along. I've mentioned in previous weeks that our Discord channels around the Dandelion incentivized alpha network provide some pretty good documentation just by scrolling through the chat there. But over the next few weeks and months, we will continue to kind of process that into some documentation that makes it as easy as possible for people to spin up their own Dandelion deployment. So more on that to come. We have an engine team that's really coalescing right now. Build all sorts of different components for thinking about native assets, NFTs, and otherwise with an eye on scalable components. It's been really cool to be at the bleeding edge of what these components need to be, because it allows us to dream up what hasn't been done yet and to add functionality. So this goes back to what I was saying about the password NFT series that's coming up. What that NFT series is going to do is evolve over time, right? So there will be evolving artwork, evolving ways that we present that artwork, but most importantly, evolving functionality embedded in the NFTs themselves. And so we've got a whole bunch of experiments that we're really looking to try, and all in due time. We want to roll it out step by step by starting with art first and then growing a story from there. Much more to share in the upcoming weeks on that. And again, the Gimbalabs playground community is really showing up lately. We have had just an amazing run of presentations by people who are on fire with new ideas, big ideas about how to build community and use the tools that we're all just starting to understand together. Been a few good conversations about incentive models, and over the next few weeks, we're starting to turn our attention to DAOs and even to brick and mortar solutions, right? Like ways that people can interact with blockchain in the real world and learn more about it. So huge shout out to Chad Dixon. This was the first time last Tuesday that we had a group of people live at a coffee shop in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, tuning into Playground together, having their own conversation in the background. I know Chad's been doing some good work with the crypto and coffee community to start dreaming up what a physical space might look like that invites people in, maybe with a good cup of coffee, to start learning about what blockchain is and how they can interact with that. Chad's also looking into starting off a Saturday playground session. So more on that to come. Probably have to get Chad on here to talk about that for some weekly updates soon. So I want to take a quick detour here and talk about this term PBL. We refer to project-based learning as PPBL, or excuse me, Plutus project-based learning as PPBL, right? Plutus project-based learning. Now, why? This is, in my opinion, this is just the best way to learn, right? You learn best when you experience something. You learn best by doing. And if you have a chance to learn together, hey, Steve, hey, Juan, when you learn together, you learn the most, right? And so my entire teaching career led me towards this idea of experience-based and mastery-based and project-based learning. And this goes way beyond the scope of what I can squeeze into a weekly update. But anybody who wants to hear me talk for longer than this, I'm already talking too much. I'm the only person here. I guess I'll just keep talking. But this is my deepest passion, and I really want to help push these ideas of experiential learning. And that's why we're doing this. I think that blockchain provides an excellent space for this sort of applied work because we're all learning together. And also going back to George's ideas about credentials, right? As we start thinking about DAO formation, sharing expertise, And incentive models, right? What we want to incentivize is people learning as much as possible and completing projects, right? It's not about that old world industrial vibe of counting the hours put in. It's about trying to measure what we've learned together. When we engage in project-based learning, we have the chance to go deeper and to really see the big picture, right? And when I was in the classroom, one of the things I always struggled with was decontextualized knowledge, right? This idea that you could teach a single concept in isolation. Hey, solve this linear equation, right? Or hey, memorize state capitals, right? The list could go on, right? All of these kind of just feeding kids knowledge and then asking them for recall, that doesn't help kids learn deeply, and it doesn't help grown-ups learn deeply either. What we need are projects so we can see the context, all the stuff that we often overlook when it's all about facts and recall. We need people to get better at thinking. We need people to understand how ideas intersect with each other. And we need people to have a better idea of what they don't know, because that's where community and hard work and humility come from, is when we have the real ability to say, hey, I came this far, and now I see a bigger picture and I can see where my journey has to go next. Now, what I like about the PBL acronym is that we can replace the word project with problem, right? And there's a lot more to say about this, but keep in mind that a problem is just a tiny project, right? When I have a problem to solve, I take it on and I work with it. And a project can just be seen as a set of problems all coalescing into some bigger solution, right? When we start working on a project and we uncover the things we don't know, or maybe we find a bug in our code, now we've got a problem to solve. And often those problems are what guide us towards learning as much as possible. I'm sure everybody who's ever taken some kind of test in school, right, whether it's multiple choice or otherwise, right, the things you remember the most are the things you got wrong, right? And then you say, oh, wow, I didn't know that when I took that test. But then when you look back and you kind of have a chance to review what you already knew, you're not that proud of that stuff, right? It's really about the things you didn't know and pushing your knowledge. So every time we encounter a problem, we encounter what we don't know, our brain is more prepared to embrace that new knowledge and then hopefully make something of it. So you can tell I could talk all day about this stuff, but we're really excited to be putting these principles into action, first with Plutus PBL, and soon with other PBL programs. And so anybody who wants to keep learning something else, if you're interested in helping to establish another sort of PBL program, that door is always open. For next steps, I want to invite everybody, as always, to our weekly meetings. We have a playground meeting where, like I mentioned before about the Fuffy Coin team, they presented last Tuesday. Next week, we're hearing from IdeaDAO team with Mr. Tefera. And that meeting continues to happen every Tuesday at 4 p.m. UTC. Make sure to check your local clocks. I know that some countries have already fallen back from daylight savings and others are still to come. Here in the United States, we will change our clocks this weekend. So just be resilient in checking those times in your local time zone. But we've got another string of great meetings coming up in Playground. The Dandelion Gardeners meet every Tuesday. Whoops, I forgot the day there. Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. UTC. And then if you want to get involved in that project-based Plutus work that we're doing, drop by every Wednesday for a high-level conversation in our office hours. That's at 3:30 p.m. UTC. Or for our live Plutus development sessions, we had just an amazing one yesterday, starting to dig into some NFT marketplace code led by Abdel Karim, our newest Plutus PBL dev. And that's every Thursday at 2 p.m. UTC. Finally, I just wanted to announce that this weekly update will be at a new time starting next week. We're going to do this at the end of the day on Thursdays instead of at the start of the day on Fridays. So look for this. Yeah, new time next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m. UTC, and I'll change the calendar to represent that as well. Just looking at the chat here, that's my entire presentation for today. Hey, thanks for that. Oh, it's on a link. Yeah. Problem, project, Plutus, programming, all of it. Keep them coming. Yeah, exactly. This is another piece, right? At your own pace. When you're working on a project, you get to set the terms for how much you want to do. And that's, don't even get me started. This is a whole nother, I have some problems with our current schooling system and the way it prepares kids to get real work done. But one of the things that school doesn't always provide is that optionality and that ability to look at a high level project and then to define your own pathway through it, right? I know there's a lot of teachers around the world who are pushing back on the way things currently work and trying to define new ways to do this. So shout out to everybody doing that work. But this is just another argument, right? Self-paced learning, project planning. You might have heard the term executive functioning, right? The ability just to take all inputs, set priorities, use time well, and make sure that real results happen. These are things that I want to see schools do a better job doing. And I think here in this emerging industry, we have a chance to take a pretty strong position on this and to set a really good example. And if we do a good job, maybe we'll have something to say back to the greater education community. We'll see what happens. Oh, and Gardeners is every other week. Okay, I got to set that up. That's a new development. You see, I can't keep track of everything too. That's why I'm glad you guys are here. So hey, thanks for tuning in today. It's just me because we're in building mode. The rest of the team says hello and sends love. And if you got any questions before I sign off? Well, much love to everybody. Thank you. Hey, well, thanks, Steve. Yeah. Um, if you just give me a place to talk, I'm just going to keep going. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for spending this time. And as always, drop by. That's right. Slow but sure work. We're building foundations. We're here for the long game. You know, there's a lot of different ways to approach this new industry. But I deeply believe this is going to be here for a long time. So we might as well act like it. All right. Good stuff, everybody. Thanks for dropping by. And we will see you next week on Thursday evening, afternoon, wherever you are. All right.